310 to 1-7. It's Meath that are the 2022 All-Ireland Senior Football Champions, back-to-back winners. Diane, what did you make of the game?
Yeah, they were just phenomenal. I mean, actually, no matter what way you looked at it, they were always kind of in control of that game. They were so comfortable with their plan. They were so comfortable with how they played. Physically, they were in absolute peak condition, and they were physically strong. I mean, Kerry could have tried to do anything there today, and I don't think they'd have won that match. There are some things that I do think they could have changed a little bit in how they approached the transition, and what their target was when they got up inside the 45. But I think, regardless, Meath absolutely deserved that today.
Kerry had a good start. Louise Nimmer-Hertig, she got the goal. She lobbed Monica. It was really well placed. It was no fluke in how Louise done that. She was going for that goal.
Yeah, and she controlled it with a lot of skill. She bypassed another defender. She took an extra play on it. I think she did really, really well to get that. I kind of thought that might have settled Kerry a little bit better, but it didn't seem to, because it just, Meath just got better and better and more comfortable as the game went on.
That's something that really impresses me about Meath. No matter what happens, if they're down, if it's coming to the dying minutes, if goals go in, they don't panic. Everybody stays calm and you just trust the process.
Yeah, they're so well drilled and they're so familiar with their role, and they all carry that role out. And any changes that are made, it always adds to the team. It always strengthens them that little bit more. But every single person knows their role. Even when Bridgetta Lynch came on, I know, like, probably by bringing her on, it was, she's gonna hit a killer punch now, and of course she does. She scores a goal. I just think that even though they're a little bit predictable, in terms of, you probably can guess over the last couple of games who's going to come on and what time the game they'll come on. What can you do about it? What can opposition teams do about it? And I think the only struggle for me today was probably that Kerry didn't have a plan B. They had one line of approach in terms of advancing their attack, and Meath were so disciplined. They knew that Kerry were going to try and bring it in, try and walk it through the centre. You had 5v1 nearly almost every time, and very few frees were given. The Meath defence was so disciplined, and they were incredible today.
Yeah, the Meath defence is really just incredible. It has been throughout the whole year, and something that me and you had talked about in the press box here was that Kerry forwards or any of the players were taking it into problems a lot of the times, instead of maybe taking the shot from out the pitch a little bit, maybe outside the D. They were running into trouble, and there was 4 or 5 Meath players there that were able to turn them over, and that kept happening time and time again, and that sort of sucked the life out of Kerry.
Yeah, and Meath just kind of, the avenues that they left open to Kerry in attack were all kind of at awkward angles, where you're kind of on the edge as a player. I'd imagine the Kerry forwards were like, am I within range? What's the chance of me getting this? Do I want to be wasting a ball? But that's when you'd expect maybe recycle, or the ball to come back across and get a diagonal pass across over to the other side and try and move that quickly. Sometimes they miss the player running into the corner, but again, I mean, would that have been much of an advantage to pass it into that corner unless you had a plan to kick the ball back out and get it across the other side? So yeah, you know what, Kerry have made huge strides this year, they really have, but I don't think you really doubted at any point that Meath weren't going to come away and win this.
Yeah, I think it's the results that they've put up in the last few games, especially when it's came down to the dying minutes. As I said, Emma Duggan, last minute kick to beat Galway, a brilliant Galway side as well. Obviously we've seen it against Donegal as well when they were down, to come back. They know how to win. They really know how to win at this point.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, obviously when I played years ago at Mayo, a long time ago, a lot of the time we'd be waiting for Cora to do something, and she always did. And something happened, we pulled something out of the bag. Meath are at that now, but Meath aren't just relying on maybe one player. Every single one of them, they'll do something, they'll pull it out of the bag. Niamh O'Sullivan getting the goal, you have Bridgetta Lynch getting the goal as well. And I mean, all of these things, they look up to Vicky, they look up to Emma to do something, like Orla Lally, all of these players. And then you're looking at Emma Troy in defence, Aoibhinn Leahy. I mean, there's no question as to how good this team are, like, all over the field, and every single one of them have the ability to do something, to pull it out of the bag. And what happens when they all decide to do it together at the same time? You get a result like that today.
And the conditioning of these players is something else. We're seeing them get back and get forward time and time again, and it takes serious conditioning and fitness to be able to do that. Have you seen this in the game before?
No, and again, I suppose it's something that wouldn't have happened overnight. Like when we look at Cork, were the leading team in terms of conditioning for the years that they were on top, and then you looked at Dublin conditioning. But Meath have taken it to another level. Not only are they physically strong and have a huge amount of upper body strength, is that they've got incredible anaerobic fitness in their legs, because if you look at the game plan, they they apply every time that they play. I mean, imagine how fit you need to be to do that. But the strength of their upper body, I mean, you're watching Meath players, push off opposition like as if it's nothing, and these are equal senior county players. So I think that their condition is ahead of anyone else in the country at the moment.
And for Kerry, they had a great performance today. They can take a lot from it. Louise Newmar-Hertig, we mention her time and time again because she is phenomenal. They have a lot of young girls on this panel. I spoke with Dara, their manager there, and Declan, and you can hear the passion that they have for these girls first and foremost, and then also for Kerry football. And they said, they're going to be back again. We'll look at things, and we've Division 1 football to look forward to next year. They're thinking about it that way.
Yeah, and as you said there's loads of positives. I mean, going back 4 or 5 years ago, they had no county board. I think the LGFA had to come in and try and help them, settle the ship there. I mean, they weren't in a good place, and they have year on year they've been building, and look where they are today, the biggest stage that there is, like an All-Ireland final in Croke Park. It's nice to see that the management is maybe they were a little bit realistic coming into this. Maybe they knew, I suppose, their strengths and weaknesses versus a very, very, I suppose, comfortable team like Meath, and maybe the result won't shock them too much. But as you said, there's so many positives, and they've come a long way, and they're going to be a team to be reckoned with moving forward. They'll have learned so much more, and they'll have taken huge experience from today.
And for Meath, back-to-back champions. They came out of nowhere for some people last year to win the senior. They won the intermediate before that, and to do that all in the last few years is just, it's a story we never heard before in women's football.
Yeah, Meath are literally the talking point of every single team, whether it's an under-10s team, down in some small club in the country, or you're an inter-county team, or you've been playing for 15 years. Meath are the team that everyone will look, it's like, there's the dream, go after it, and one day you'll get there, but all the ducks fell in a row for them. I mean, they've great quality players. A lot of these girls won Leinster minor titles, brilliant county board, the structures there are incredible. And if you look at it, each step that they took with that management, they gained a little bit more experience, and they've always kept humble, they've always kept grounded. So I think with everything, the couple of losses that they'd had to get to their first All-Ireland and win intermediate, I'd say more than likely they were the ones that hardened them for the long road they had, because to keep winning is harder than what they had to do is lose 1 or 2 and you could disappear under a rock. But to actually, get up a division, then win Leinster, then win All-Ireland, and then win the next division again on top of 2 back-to-back All-Ireland titles is incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I spoke with Vicky Wall there. She told me her bags are packed. She goes, she goes next Friday. Eamon Murray told me that there's maybe 4 or 5 girls going away, so won't be here for next year. There's Emma Troy gone. I think Aveen's going. Obviously Vicky, Orla Lally, and then he also told me that a lot of management are stepping away too. So what's going to happen?
Yeah, I suppose the rumour has kind of been, it's been going around for the last 4 or 5 months that this was it. And I was asked there earlier by Stephen. He just said, there was huge emotion from Eamon Murray at the final whistle. And it probably wasn't because he'd won the match, because he knew 10 minutes from the end they were going to win the game. So maybe it was because that's it, it's the end of the road for this group of people. And you'll always say, going into a match, you'll never have the people inside that circle, inside that dressing room, year on year on year. Something changes. So it's always about that moment and living in it. I think that Meath, the fact that everyone has been quite respectful and advance notice has been given to county boards, and people are aware of it. I think with that level of respect, it's allowed the county board to maybe look outside. Obviously the focus was on this All-Ireland and getting across the line today and bringing the cup back to Meath. But I think that the fact that the respect has been given to the county board and the players and panel has a huge advantage towards that county board then planning to move forward without being hit with such a huge amount of loss.
And just to bring it back to your playing days, obviously you played out here in many All-Irelands, captained Mayo. I remember being at those finals, sitting with my family and my team just over in the Cusack stand. It was amazing days. And to be here now, to look on at the crowds that come into Croke Park now, I know you're even a bit emotional thinking of those days, because it is just something else to see what's happened to the game.
Yeah, it's a credit to every single person that puts on a pair of boots, that stays in the organisation as a volunteer, that goes in and coaches. I mean, look at Geraldine O'Shea. She was here as a mentor with Kerry today. Like, I would have played against her now. She's younger than me, all right, but it's incredible. People, I'm not saying it's like, you know, something that you get addicted to, but you love it. Like, you have a genuine passion for it. And I'm still coaching now. I think the only thing that could be a little bit, you know, the teams that come out and they get recognition at halftime, I believe that was up to 98, so it means 99 is next year. But I might be here working with you, Aisling, so I won't be able to, unfortunately, make it. But I think it's incredible. And I looked at all those players now, and they were the teams that were on top before we came along as Mayo to actually, you know, take those trophies off Waterford, to take it off Monaghan. And it's amazing to think how much and how far it's come, and it's a credit to everyone. I mean, to think of, you know, you have coaches now in the ladies' game being offered jobs in, you know, men's inter-county setups. It used to be the other way. It used to be you could be in a men's setup and maybe fail, and then you'll come back and be a coach in the ladies' game. That's completely changed now in the last year or two. You can kind of see that coaches now are being recognised, and they're being poached from the ladies' side, you know, back into men's inter-county clubs, you name it. So I think it's a credit to show where, I suppose, it has transitioned from and now where it's at.